Hey Kris, here's that lesson video for you. So for starters, I think we talked about kind of a ground up technique retooling, starting with having the guitar plus minus a right angle and arm around it, enabling me to be in this position rather than kind of over the top feeling like that. And literally just one thumb joint, making sure you're in good juxtaposition and not holding a lot of tension in your body. We can find positions for both arms where we're really chilling. Here, that secures the instrument along with leaning it against our body. And over here, just one knuckle, not one and a half, lets us get out here in front of the instrument more. And do most of the things that we can do in classical thumb position, which is, if you were to put four fingers all on the bass string where each one of them doesn't feel like it's in reach position, which should be really hard out here, near impossible. Gonna have our thumb about here, right smack in the middle. And that's like where we play bar chords and so forth, as well as, well, obviously when you try to do it, anything that's got reaches in it is impossible. Whereas, as we discussed, we're doing a lot of lyrical bending, single notey things when we're playing our pentatonic scales. So, if we had to pick one approach for everything, it would be use four fingers and then swap out your ring finger for bends for your pinky. But it really just depends on what kind of phrasing we're working on. I'm going to send you something by Freddie King called Yonder Wall. Should be good for just here's a bunch of little bends with nuances. So, just take a second now, make sure you're holding the guitar, and, your dead arm in your lap, dead arm, relaxed shoulder, all chill, not a lot of extra tension in there. Alright, cool. So at about 2 minutes in, we're starting to talk about scales. For starters, let's decide we're going to know the names of 6 notes other than the open strings. They are at the 3rd fret, G and C, which makes sense. The B, G, and C. The 5th fret, A and D. Makes sense, that would be A and D. Hey, there's section 1. Memorize those 4. I know it seems silly, but people really turn this into a task when it's not. So give yourself some sort of randomized geography test, just get it over with. Then at the 7th fret, B. I know it doesn't seem significant, but for some reason people are tempted into turning that into a deductive reasoning problem when it's a geography test. So don't level yourself into, turning it into more of a task than it is. We're totally just like that one called D, that one called D, etc. Yeah, man, so we talked about the major scale. Like here, I'm going to work off the note A. And I believe the first major scale we learned to play is going to remind you to have the guitar at this angle, and that when you realize you're doing this, the correction can't really be to just move your arm back, because then your elbow is going to end up too far back, and it'll essentially be the same position, the one that wants you having your thumb off to the side and stuff. So yeah, playing this knuckle and above out in front very often, or way out in front. Cool, so the major scale. We've been hearing all our lives. We're not going to have any seesawing when we play. We're not going, that's not a thing. And this position really lent itself to, I have to do that. But we're always, obviously, we might just come right back down it and, do pull-offs and hammer-ons. So there's innumerable reasons to park our first finger there. That's us going, and that's a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. There's 7 notes on the scale. Cool. So working off of that same note, we played the A minor pentatonic. This is the most commonly used pattern in all of rock lead across the board. So this is this 2 notes per string feeling of, my thumb's going to start out maybe about here, and then I'll end up there. We're using our pinky here because when we're on the low strings, we tend to be playing single notes. But when we get to here, all bets are off, and we're expecting that when we're playing this type of phrasing, we're going to be doing bends a lot, which is the force of these 2 fingers together. When you're doing this, middle finger stays, middle finger doesn't do this. As though you might, you can always use those as passing tones. If you do it fast enough, it works, for instance. But yeah, we get to here. We were talking about bending a half step or a whole step, which is there, which we can just go, here it is. But that's more of an exercise than, just ear training wise. But playing this song should do the same thing. Half step bend, 1 fret, whole step bend, 2 frets. Cool, so then we're talking about this pattern when we were right here. When we spread out to the B string, the second string, our ring finger and middle finger are going to work like a unit here. And we do want to keep our first finger here. That's reach, but it's doable. As though we might go do a pull off to it. And if pull offs have ever gone, like, it wasn't that you didn't pluck the string enough over here. It was just that your first finger wasn't pushing down. And the way we'd been playing, like, doing this pentatonic scale this way and stuff, it really lends itself towards single note playing rather than nuanced playing. And guitar is all about nuanced playing. Cool, man. So there we are here, bending out. And, if your hand bunches up a little bit there, it's not the end of the world. Also, this isn't just for bends. It's that we might often, so there we are, pentatonic 1. Looks like that. You can also do hammer-ons on the way up, pull-offs on the way down. Just have something to do other than improvise or go up and down the scale. Which, for what it's worth, is totally down, up, down, up, down, up, alternate over here. Up is going to start to feel more natural in the position we're using now. So, and I've purposely not addressed right hand yet, thinking unless there's some compelling reason to do something else, especially when we're playing fast. It's the only way it actually happens. Cool, so next structure, pentatonic 2. It's up here in front of the box. And there's a way to play it across all the strings. But we're just going to go with, right up here adjacent to these, we have 10, 8, 10, 8, and this one. And though this might not make a ton of sense at first, you'll see Freddie King using that kind of shape, which can sound a little bit major key, but in this context we're talking about. So yeah, there it is. We've got pentatonic 2, which is an abbreviated scale. And that's strange. It's the only time on the instrument where we're going to be like, never mind those strings. But when we're playing pentatonic number 5, I believe we discussed 5 of 5. I believe we got through all of them. So it's we're doing it all just with our index and ring. Though we understand that these 4 notes we'll probably get down on quite a bit, but not so much. We'll always be in a position where we can segue. So that's how to do the pattern that you were playing like this. Then cool. So all of those were the ones that were around A and C right there. A, C, A, C. It's the A minor / C major pentatonic. If that didn't make sense, no problem. We'll get on it next time. Cool. So there we are. We've got this structure now. We've got our main box, which we see it's in the same area as the major scale, but just a bunch of different notes. Then we've got this back behind it. Often bending here. Cool. And then pentatonic 2 up in front of it. I'm thinking I might not have gone over exactly all of these with you during the lesson, but just to be comprehensive, we've got one up at the 10th fret. Goes 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12. We got one reach note for 9, 12. Then 10, 13, 10, 12. Excuse me. And if I'm tripping, we didn't actually get to this, go ahead and just, check out the Freddie King song, work on basic technique, noodle around a little bit. You're going to see that he's throwing in some notes other than he's throwing in some of these passing tones. But he's often bending up to what's a recognizable, he goes, that's like going, so sort of like playing a scale tone, if that didn't make sense. No big deal. So there you are, sir. And then up at the 12th fret, we got one more. We're mostly ignoring the 6th string since we've got our same A, C, A, C, A, C right here. We got this one middle finger starting note like that. Those are the 5 pentatonic fingerings. I'm sure you can find them on the internets too. And those are the fingering choices that I recommend. Though sometimes you'll deviate, but it won't be to use the weak fingers. It'll be some combination. But we do use these fingerings and so forth just for major scaly spread out stuff, as opposed to single note runs where that only really makes sense versus in application. Cool, man. Enjoy, and I'll see you at your next lesson. Cheers.